John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hello, my name is John Ulzheimer. I'm a consumer credit expert. I've been in the credit industry since 1991. This is my 30th year. I spent time at Equifax, the credit reporting agency, and I spent time at FICO, the developer of the FICO credit scoring system. So today I'm going to answer a question that I get all the time, and it is about credit repair organizations. And specifically the question is how can I tell the difference between a legitimate credit repair organization and a nefarious organization or a rip-off artist? And so it's a hard question to answer because if you ask certain industry players, meaning from the credit side of the equation, their perception or their position on credit repair is that it's all a scam. And so that's where I think this momentum picked up, where the credit reporting or credit repair is all bad. So I think if you kind of break it down and look at it more strategically, then you can differhetitiate between credit repair organizations that follow the rules versus credit repair organizations that do not. Clearly, that doesn't answer the question about whether or not you believe credit repair as a whole or as a strategy is a good idea or a bad idea. But at the very least, there are some things that you can do to determine whether or not the company with whom you're doing business or you're thinking of doing business is following the rules, or if they're not following the rules. The absolute number one thing that you need to look for when you're considering dealing with any credit repair company is whether or not they follow CROA, C-R-O-A, the Credit Repair Organizations Act. CROA is a federal statute meant to protect consumers from nefarious credit repair organizations and their tactics. CROA, among other things, clearly I can't give you an entire, in-depth basis of CROA in 8 minutes, but I'll do my best. So CROA actually defines what is a credit repair organization. And at a high level, a credit repair organization is a for-profit company that has services that are marketed as being able to help you to either improve your credit report, improve your credit score, any reasonable derivative of that term in exchange for a fee, okay? And so that would, as a company, would make you a credit repair organization, even if you don't want to be one, or even if you say, oh no, I'm not a credit repair organization, but I charge people to help them fix their credit. You are whether you say you are or not. So it defines what is a credit repair organization. It also sets aside some rules that credit repair organizations have to follow. And one of those rules is they can't take payment in advance, and so they can only charge you after their payments have been fully rendered. So if you run into a company that's trying to charge you up front, then you may be running into a company that's running afoul of CROA, and so that's something that you're going to want to keep in mind. Another thing is that they're not allowed to essentially misrepresent your disputes to the credit reporting agencies. Another one is they have to give you certain disclosures and you have to sign them, and they have to wait before they start services. So there's a lot of restrictions. If you Google CROA, C-R-O-A, you can actually find the full text of the act on a variety of websites, and it's not a long statute. It's actually pretty brief, and then you'll be able to find a good summary of it, and you'll be able to determine whether or not you believe that the company that you're dealing with is or is not following the rules. If they're not following CROA, then they're acting illegally. So you just want to be aware that you may not want to have your name associated with that type of an organization. I have no scientific basis for the next one, but I think anecdotally it makes sense. I always tell people, find an organization that has been around for a while. Maybe an organization that's been around for 2 weeks isn't the right one to choose, right? And the reason why I think it's important to look for one that's been around for a while is because if they've been around for a while, then probably they're complying with CROA, because if they're not, then it's only a matter of time before the Federal Trade Commission comes in and hammers them. And number two, it's also a matter of time before they get nailed with various lawsuits. So if you find one that's been around for a while, it's very likely that they're following the rules, that they're probably treating their customers well, and therefore I think that's at least something that you should consider. I'm not saying that a company that's been around for 6 months is a bad idea. I'm just saying that it might be a better idea to find one that's well seasoned, that's worked its way through the issues of CROA, that complies with the rules, and has good, is not essentially ripping off consumers, because if they are, then it's just a matter of time before the Federal Trade Commission comes in and shuts them down. This last one is one that I feel very strongly about this one, okay? If you run into any credit repair organization that suggests that you use sneaky tactics to try to get information removed from your credit reports, run for the hills, all right? And move on and don't look back. And there are 3 practices that I believe are bad news. Number 1 is bumpage. Bumpage is a theory whereby these companies believe that if you just keep loading up your credit report with information, that somehow it's going to bump off old inquiries. So I don't know anybody who could just take what I just said and say, yeah, that's a pretty ethical practice. We should definitely look at that company, right? So again, if you have a company that's trying to get you to participate in any bumpage type of strategies, you should probably move on. The next one is the 609 dispute letter, one of my favorite scams coming out of the credit repair industry. Apparently, Section 609, this is of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Section 609 has absolutely nothing to do with your right to dispute information. Section 609 just gives you the right to see everything that's in the credit bureau systems. And so one of the theories of credit repair people is that if you ask for everything associated with an item on your credit report and they can't provide it to you, that they somehow have to remove it. So you see some of these silly letters ask for, the original loan documents. Well, Equifax isn't your lender, so they're not going to have your original loan documents. That doesn't mean that they have to remove something. So there really is no such thing as a 609 dispute letter. It's just kind of this thing that was created by the credit repair organization. So the last one is actually illegal, the credit sweep. And the credit sweep is something that I've talked about in other videos in the past. A credit sweep is essentially you, the consumer, going to your local law enforcement, the police station, and telling them that you've been the victim of fraud, and that your negative items on your credit reports are all there because they were fraudulently opened by some sort of a criminal who stole your identity and opened these accounts in your name. And you'll get a police report from them because they have to write that up, and then you send that into the credit bureaus, and they would sweep all that negative information off your credit report. Here's the problem. You're lying. You weren't the victim of fraud. You just filed a false police report, which is illegal, sent it to the credit bureaus, and are now relying upon this illegally obtained police report to try to get them to remove information from your credit reports. If you think that's ethical, you shouldn't be watching this video, because it really doesn't matter who you choose to do business with, because you're choosing to do business with a lawless organization. So you have bumpage, which is unproven, the 609 dispute letter, which is unproven, and the credit sweep, which is illegal. So if you run into any of these types of strategies when you're looking at a credit repair organization, maybe you should look elsewhere. So hopefully this helps you to kind of distinguish between, it doesn't mean that they're all good or bad. It just means that this is a pretty good way to at least check a few boxes, do some due diligence when you're considering credit repair organizations, just to make sure you don't run into one that is just bad news. So hopefully this helped you in your search. If you are in fact in the market for credit repair, then hopefully this helped you. Drop your comments in the section below. I have a feeling I'm gonna get some, because this is a hot topic and it's very polarizing. A lot of people who think these are great ideas are probably gonna rip me up in the comment section, but I'm fine with that. And I'll address the comments appropriately. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we will speak again soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.